Gregor Samsa, a young traveling salesman. As Gregor Samsa awoke one morning from uneasy dreams, he found himself transformed in his bed into a monstrous vermin. This sudden and inexplicable transformation leaves Gregor horrified. Initially, he's more concerned about being late for work than about his new physical state. His body, now strange and insect-like, is nearly immobile, with small legs and a hard, shell-like back that makes movement almost impossible. Despite his efforts, he struggles to communicate or perform basic tasks as he attempts to adjust to his new form. Gregor's primary worry is for his family. Before his transformation, he was the household's breadwinner, supporting his parents and his sister Greta with his grueling job as a traveling salesman, a job he endures for their benefit, despite his own unhappiness. Gregor's family, however, sees him more as a means of financial support than as an individual. Kafka uses this transformation to reveal and exaggerate Gregor's alienation within his own family, exposing their dependence on him as transactional rather than rooted in true connection. When Gregor fails to show up for work, his manager arrives at the Samsa household to check on him. Desperate to assure his boss, Gregor tries to speak through the door, but his words come out garbled and unintelligible. As his family and the manager finally see Gregor in his new form, they are horrified. His father violently drives him back into his room, symbolizing the beginning of Gregor's isolation. As days pass, Gregor remains locked in his room, observing life from the margins. Initially, Gret cares for him, bringing him food and cleaning his room, but her compassion gradually fades. Her initial sympathy is replaced by disgust and neglect, and she becomes irritated by the duty of caring for him. The family's attitude toward Gregor grows increasingly cold. They no longer see him as part of the family, but rather as a burden. Gregor's physical transformation parallels his psychological and emotional isolation. He slowly loses his human habits, preferences, and dignity. He hides from his family and begins crawling on the walls, retreating further into insect-like behavior. His family, too, transforms. Freed from their reliance on him, they start to find their own jobs and sources of income. They begin to resent the inconvenience and shame Gregor's existence brings them, seeing him as a source of shame and burden rather than a loved family member. In a key scene, the family rents a room to 3 lodgers to bring in extra money. The lodgers are initially unaware of Gregor, but when they eventually see him, they react with horror and demand to leave immediately. This incident is the breaking point for Gregor's family, especially Greta, who declares that they must get rid of him. Once devoted to her brother, she now speaks of him as if he were a stranger, suggesting that he no longer deserves a place in their home. With no hope left, Gregor retreats to his room, losing his will to live. The story ends with Gregor succumbing to his deteriorating health, his death symbolizing his final, absolute alienation. His family, upon discovering his lifeless body, feels an unexpected relief rather than grief. They immediately clean the room and resume their lives, as if Gregor had never existed. Free from the responsibility of caring for him, they leave their home and head out together, contemplating a future filled with newfound possibilities. Kafka's The Metamorphosis is a haunting allegory of alienation and the often cruel dynamics within families and societies. Gregor's transformation serves as a stark reminder of how people can be valued or devalued based on their utility to others. Through Gregor's journey, Kafka examines how one's humanity can be disregarded under the weight of social roles and expectations, offering a bleak yet compelling meditation on identity, isolation, and the human condition.